Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Porky here from Porky's Corner, the voice of hardcore boxing fans. That's right, that's why you've tuned in. Today I'm joined by Mr. Kent Swan from
Belfast
in
Northern Ireland.
How are you doing, Kent?
I just dead on, just getting on, mate. Just getting on with lockdown and getting through the days.
Yeah. All right. We'll start with a couple of talking points. Back up about 10 days, Josh Warrington, Lara. What do you think about the whole carry on about what's going on?
It's been a disaster for him. 2 years ago he sold out Allen Road, Kaiser Chiefs. Lucas Radaby walked him into the ring, won the world title. He just left Eddie because he was parked up there. There was nothing going on. So he went to Frank, got all that, won the world title, got a big win against Frampton, pay-per-view, had a couple of okay defenses, but they're defenses where he's getting paid and he's getting good money. His profile was through the roof. He seemed to leave Frank, which I don't get it. I think it was the whole DAZN money that everybody was getting at the time and everybody was promised, and he just jumped on the bandwagon for the DAZN money. And now the pandemic, obviously every fighter's struggled with that. The Galahad fight was, for Eddie, as a commercial disaster. Just was dire, terrible fight. Wasn't really what they wanted, and now he's had to give up his IBF because of the purse bid was so low, and I couldn't fault them on that, because it's like, get into work and your employer saying to you, well, you're going to work today for a quarter of the price. You're not going to do it. So I think he done the right thing with the IBF, but this whole Lara thing, I seen a video yesterday, and Eddie said that he mentioned that Mexico was a massive commercial identity to them with DAZN, and I don't know. I can't see how Eddie Hearn is not going to know who Lara is. The lad had 11 fights in 2 years. He's never Eddie's sparring partner. They're not going to fly him in for nothing and do all that and do all the checks. So I don't know. I think it's like, is it a conspiracy? Is it a setup? It could be. I thought it was a really, really hard fight. From the first round, it was that Mexican style, lead left hand, hook, jab. I thought he got hurt in the first round, and it was like he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. And I think Josh is probably 18 months behind his career. Yeah. So that was probably a fight he would have been having at super featherweight rather than featherweight. I'm not saying he was struggling with a weight, but he's near 2 years behind his career, and he's 30 now, and making featherweight, is hard. It's hard on the smaller weight guy, especially when you haven't been fighting. I just thought it was really, I'm gutted for him, because he seems a decent lad. He seems a good, genuine guy. He's a hardworking fighter. His dad, Sean, seems okay and all in the camp. I'm just gutted for him, because 1 minute he's up selling out Allen Road, and the next he's getting beat up by a Mexican that nobody knows about, and he gave up his title. And he probably would have got less money for it. The fight, I thought, that type of fight is like 3 or 4 fights rolled into one, career wise. So I really feel sorry for him. And now he's talking about, I want to rematch this guy, and if I don't win, I'm retiring. So that could be Josh's career over by the end of the summer.
A doorman, a former doorman, former bricklayer told me recently, he said, as he pulled up in his Ford Capri, he said to me, Porky, I goes, what? He goes, one day in boxing can make a big change. You know what I mean?
It's massive, massive. Like 6 months ago, he was IBF world champion. He was talking about going to America, fighting probably 300, 400K purse in America. That's career, that's like life-changing money to any athlete. And now he's no title, and he's just been brutally stopped by a lad that nobody knows about. And I think the way Eddie's talking about the other day, yeah, this is a great Mexico. You know, it's kind of like Eddie's became kind of like Vince McMahon in the WWF way back in the 70s and 80s, where he's going in the territories and he's trying to get all these territories. He tried it in Britain, and he tried it with ticket sellers like the Ritzons and that there. Now it's on a global scale. Now it's Mexico. I even seen a thing today that they're talking about bringing Dale Boy over to China to fight Zhang. So for Eddie, it's not about the fighters no more. It's not about giving Josh a payday or giving whoever looking after them. It's global now. It's about making his product, the DAZN product, global, and he'll use the British fighters for that.
Well, if you watch on my channel, you'll see that I've been saying for a bit now that Joshua ain't going to fight Fury. He'll fight the big Chinaman that he beat in the Olympics. Terry Harper will fight that Korean girl, and Josh Warrington will fight Kanzu. That's why Anthony Joshua has reached out to Josh Warrington. You know, can you imagine a conversation? It's a fight. Setbacks paved the way for comeback. Even Ali got beat, blah, 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 and all that. You've got to get up and, look, we've heard it all before. Joshua don't care for Warrington. He don't even care for Eddie Hearn. He cares for money.
He wants to be a billionaire, and see that whole video and all. And I don't think Josh would even think like that. I think Josh would think, oh, that's great. There's Joshua ringing me up and all, and he could beat by a Mexican and I could beat by a Mexican, making a joke out of it. It's not funny. You know, that's a fight that probably is going to ruin his career. You know, Joshua, that was just a video that they put up for likes and subscribes and shares and views, and great AJ looking after the matchroom. He doesn't care about that. That was just a box ticking exercise from them, and they don't care. If they cared about him, they'd have been ringing him up and telling him, see this guy, don't fight him, pull out and have a sore hand and wait for 6 months down the line and you can go to fight Kanzu. That's what they would have been saying if they would have cared about him.
Yeah, did you hear what I had to say though? Last week I said, about 2 weeks ago, I said, well, surely he's got to be pulling out of that fight now because it's an unknown guy, no belts online, and it's a risky fight. Why didn't they just park him up and wait? Why take the risk?
What were they being told about this guy? There was no footage of him. There was no real whispers going about until they got into camp. When they get into the bubble, that's when the whispers, you know, he was lethal on the pads. They could hear him in the next room. He was very heavy-handed. Well, if that's the case, why did they not do that research before the fight? So I agree with you. They should have. I think a lot of it now is not about the fighters. It's about the shows and about what they're putting on. And they don't care if the fighter loses or wins or whatever. They're putting that on, and that's another box ticked. You know, they wanted a name on. They wanted a name on that night on that card, because the last lot of cards have been really poor, and I think they were just looking to get a name on to tick the box. Yeah, we have had this former world champion on. This is what we're putting out, and it wasn't about looking after Josh or keeping him busy. It was about using him to fill a slot.
All right then. Well, we'll move on from this, but we're going to leave it. Well, I'll leave it with this. I'll give my opinion, then you'll give yours. My opinion is this: badly handled, right? Overachieved. carefully matched. He didn't fight Selby, did he, when he should have done? He got him at right time. So why didn't they pull out this fight? They knew nothing about it. His team have to take responsibility. I don't want to hear all this. We got beat by a better man at night. They've been navigating him through choppy waters for 30 fights. They come unstuck because they thought they could blow him away and they didn't know nothing about him. So his team have to take responsibility. That's his dad, Nick Manners, Eddie Hearn, and whoever else is involved. And Josh himself as well. So what do you think? Make it quick.
Yeah, definitely. It was bad management. Bad management. I think they wanted a purse. They wanted a payday. I think the pressure of being out of the ring for 16, 18 months, that was what made them take the fight. They didn't want to be out any longer than that. And that was ultimately down to the whole fiasco of changing this and that and Kanzu. It was inactivity. I think he took the fight. I think it was going to be a walkover and then walk into a big fight with
mate. I said make it quick, mate. I haven't got all day. Right. So what's your verdict then? Make it quick.
Bad management.
Bad management, right. We agree on that.
All of them.
I agree with that. Bad management. The mind saying we got beat by a better man. Bad management, because that's a cop-out saying you got beat by a better man because they've not done their own work. Everybody has to play a little part in it, don't they? All the team. Moving on, what do you think about these Sunday sermons that we're getting? Ben Davidson, Sam Jones, Dave Caldwell, Gareth A. Davis, Johnny Nelson, all them sort of people. What do you think about this? The same old people doing the same old interviews on the same old YouTube channels. Every time I turn my TV on, what do you think, Ken?
At the start, people were interested because it was Ben Davison and Caldwell. See now, the views are down. People are sick of it. I don't really think that any coach should be talking about what other fighters did and didn't do in a fight. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I think it's kind of disrespectful to the coaches that are putting the work in and doing all the stuff behind the scenes. So who are they to criticize or say what happened and what didn't happen? What about their fighters when they get beat or look bad? No one's on talking about them. So, and Gareth A. Davis, who's he trained?
Who's Sam Jones trained?
He hasn't a license. Is he a board license?
No.
I sent you an email, Ross, probably before the Wah fight, Wah and Joe Joyce. And I said to you, why Sam Jones standing and out the back with his arms folded, watching Ismail Salas, as if he knows what he's doing, as if he knows what to look out for. What's going on? It's this whole. I'm just sick of it. I don't listen to any of it. So I don't. And Johnny Nelson's just a comedy character now. He's made a fool out of himself several times. So I wouldn't even click anything that Johnny Nelson talks about. As far as all what you said about the sermons, I actually on Saturday night when Jordan Gill come on, I'm just sick to death of Caldwell. I turned the fight off. I just turned it off. I couldn't be bothered even looking at him. Well, that's how I feel.
Do you feel that certain people in the boxing industry feel that the shortcut to success is to pal up certain YouTube channels and just keep putting yourself out there every day, making out you're this great trainer?
It does. It's just it's all about. It doesn't seem to be about the boxers anymore. It's all about the trainers and the managers and the promoters. It's not about the fighters. It should be about the fighters. They're the guys that are getting in there. All right, they're the guys that.
Let me leave you with this on this one. We'll put this to bed. Ben Davidson, Dave Caldwell, Gareth A. Davis, who were other ones? Sam Jones, Johnny Nelson. Who have they trained from scratch to a world title?
Nobody.
There you go. Right.
Nobody.
So we'll leave it at that then. So basically, these people are using their influence because they're in with certain people to further their careers. For example, Ben Davidson's linked to MTK, isn't he? All right. So he's going to get access to IFL anytime he wants because they're not going to knock him back because MTK are bankrolling IFL, aren't they? So there's a conflict of interest there, isn't there? Ben Davidson's an IFL trainer, right? Head trainer at Marby or wherever it is. I don't really care. And he's had Tyson Fury, undefeated world champion, dropped on his lap. Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated world champion, dropped on his lap. Josh Taylor, undefeated world champion, dropped on his lap. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Right. So Ben Davidson's not done anything with any of these people from debut. He's basically a yes man for MTK and he gets big crumbs, or should we say he gets the crust. He gets the crusts. Am I right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Have I said something wrong there?
Yeah, you're right. It's right. It's kind of like in-house coaching, the whole in-house coaching.
Let's move on to the other one. Dave Caldwell. We can't judge him till Opie Price and Jordan Gill have done something. Opie Price is 4-0, so the jury is out. That's an apostrophe next to that. Apostrophe. Yeah. Back up a little bit, Jordan Gill. He's had 28 fights now, 1 defeat in a fight that he quit on. How many more learning fights is he going to have?
I was thinking that. I looked through his record the other night there, and all he's got is one of those WBA regulars. You know, he should be at that stage where he's European champion, Commonwealth champion.
WBA regulars? No, it's an
international. It's one of those.
Yeah. It's not a regular. That's a world title. Yeah.
One of those rubbish titles.
Right. So Adam Booths had Josh Kelly in his 12th fight, fighting a killer. David A fought Carl Thompson in his 11th fight, fighting a killer. Yeah, Adam Booth. Yep. We could say maybe he rushed him. We maybe could say that other managers and trainers have rushed the fighters, but Jordan Gill's had 28 fights. Lomachenko were a world champion after 3 fights, wasn't he? Right. Yep. So, where's the balance? Have we got black? Have we got white? Do we need to be in the grey areas? Is somebody going to end up getting killed? Or are some people just going to end up fighting stiffs all their life? Dave Caldwell's hanging out at back of Eddie Hearn for crumbs and crusts. That's the bottom line.
It looks like Caldwell just wants to keep him fighting, keep him taking over, winning these rubbish titles, getting these takeover fights, taking his purse before he steps up and gets stopped or gets exposed. That's what it looks like. They just want to keep him taking over, getting the paydays, getting the purses, taking his percentage, and keeping him safe. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Where if it was another fighter, Eddie would be saying, right, you know what? I'm testing you. I'm not wasting money on bringing these guys over for you to knock over. Here's a fight. Take it, leave it. If you don't take it, you'll not be matched again. This is the fight. You need to take it.
Well,
and I think that was kind of Josh Kelly's fight the other night there. You know, they were looking to get him a big win, to get him a pay-per-view fight.
Jordan Gill's team, aka Dave Caldwell, they wanted to fight Josh Whale. It went pandemic here last year, and they only wanted to do it over 10 rounds. And Mick Whale, Josh Whale's dad, said no, we'll do it over 12 rounds. They didn't want to know. So can Jordan Gill do the rounds? We're a pressure fighter.
Well, you know, Jordan Gill's stopped by body shots by a journeyman 2 years ago, and he got stopped by a guy who was just bringing him pressure. So your boy Josh Whale, he's been around a long time. He won an IBO World. He's challenged for British champion. He's fought absolutely everybody. He's got like a real proper record. You know, he's got good wins. He's got good losses. He's been fighting around the scene a long time. I remember watching him against the McDonald's years back on a Friday fight night. And I watched another couple of his fights and I liked him, but he never seemed to get any kind of press, or he was never featured on Sky much. But I think he would stop him. I think he would stop Jordan Gill.
Josh Whale, right? They don't do after parties. He doesn't drink. His dad don't hang hard at back of anybody. His dad can be a bit blunt at times, but his dad's probably genuine. He's one of my closest pals, but they're not kiss asses. Chris Smedley's not a kiss ass. Chris Aston. These people don't kiss ass. You know, Tyrone Nurse's dad. They just get on with the boxing people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I just think that Josh Whale will beat Jordan Gill this year. Now, he's got a contract with Dennis till April 22nd, I think. So, no, it'll be just sort of before then. But after then, if Jordan Gill wants it, he can have it. Because Josh Whale's the can man. Because Dillian Whyte in.
Yeah, I would like to see Josh get a big fight, and he deserves a real good purse because he's been fighting on the kind of not underground, but he's been fighting not small hall. He's kind of been fighting in between the small hall and the big cards, and you know he's not run out of back anyone. He's a quiet guy. I've never even seen him being interviewed, so I would like to see him get a good opportunity to get a good payday because guys like that, that's the sport. They're keeping the sport alive, you know, and they're the real type of boxers. They're the type of boxers that used to be about in the 90s, going around fighting anyone, taking fights, titles, not scared of losing, you know, losing fights and championships. And I would love them to get a good opportunity and get a good payday. They deserve it.
Well, Josh Whale, right? He's got his manager's license now, and I think he's got about 5 kids on his books already that he's signed or turned over. So he's building front bottom, innit? And he'll be a force in the years to come. He's got a little area in Barnsley, and they'll be big news. Josh and his dad in the next couple of years. Trust me, mate. There's things going on behind the scenes. They'll be doing well. And they'll always do well. And they're pretty genuine people, and I think that people will sign with them from this area because I don't think Steffi Bull's going to promote around here now. I think it'll be Josh Whale and Dennis. They'll be big rivals in this area for promoting.
But that's good, you know. I think when you look at the whole promotion thing, all the promoters are trying to stiff each other. They're trying to get upmanship on each other, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be everybody. Good, healthy competition is good for the fighters. It means there's competitive fights going on, and it means the guys are getting paid, and the punters, the viewers, they're actually getting a good product. So they're getting value for money.
What do you think about moving on from Josh and Gill fight if it happens? What do you think about Dillian Whyte, the can man? Anybody who wants it can get it. About people on social media saying that he's an embarrassment to Mike McCallum using his name, the Body Snatcher, because Dillian Whyte's not had a European title yet, but they're calling him the Money Snatcher, aren't they?
Well, firstly, Mike McCallum was one of the greatest fighters of the 80s. He was probably the only fighter who Marvin Hagler didn't want to fight.
Yeah.
And he was a crunk fighter. He was unbelievable. I used to work with a guy who fought him in the Commonwealth Games final way back. And he said he was amazing. That the skill level that Mike McCallum had, not as offensive fighter, his defensive skills were on a different level. And how could you even put Dillian Whyte in the same category as the Body Snatcher, Mike McCallum? It's embarrassing. I think it was Adam Smith actually called him the Body Snatcher, and I think it was his first fight at Sky when he dropped some American guy who was in his 40s. They introduced him as the Body Snatcher. When was the last time you seen Dillian Whyte stop body with a body? When was the last time you even seen him throw a body shot?
I've never seen him throw one yet.
No. And, you know, I'm sick of him crying about not getting the shot at the title. Well, he turned down a fortune against AJ. A fortune against AJ.
5 million.
And, you know, £5 million to fight AJ. He was crying about the rematch money. See, if I was Dillian Whyte, I wouldn't have cared what the rematch percentage was. If there would have been a rematch, it would have been still £5-6 million for the fight. What's he looking? What does he value himself at? £5 million, possibly £10 million in 2 fights, and he turned it down. And AJ gets knocked out. That fight that he turned down, absolute. It's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment to, obviously, Mike McCollum, to call himself the body snatcher. But I think when you turn down that money, and the thing about it is, Russ, that the WBC mandatories get a high percentage in the purse. And I think he was looking the higher percentage of the WBC mandatory. But all that money for those other belts, it's £5 million. Come on. When are you going to get an offer like that in your career again?
I know. It's a joke, mate, isn't it? Proper joke. Moving on then from the adventures of Tintin, Dillian Whyte. Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo. If it doesn't happen in May, does it ever happen?
No. Canelo wants to fight 4 times this year. He said that. Didn't say he's going to fight. He says he would like to fight 4 times this year. If nobody likes contracts or nobody wants this or that, they're not waiting around for anybody. They're in control now. They can pick whoever they want when they want for a fight. And that's just the way it is. If you don't like the contract, if you don't like the money, they'll get somebody else.
Yeah. Do you feel that Billy Joe, people like Billy Joe and Dillian Whyte, I'm not going to say Billy Joe's missed the boat or Dillian Whyte because they're millionaires, but do you feel that Billy Joe might have gone past his peak now? We've seen the best of him.
I don't want to say no. Yes, I don't want to say no because I don't know what he's doing in the gym. I don't know how fit he is away from the gym or what he's doing with Mark Tibbs. But his last couple of fights, he hasn't been on it as well as he had been. The last Martin Murray fight, I thought he started well for 3 rounds. He looked really sharp. I thought he was going to stop Martin Murray. Then he just had that lull in the fight, and he just didn't look as sharp. I know he's been out of the ring near a year until that, but he just didn't look as sharp. I think down at middleweight, 3-4 years ago, I think he had to give Canelo, or he could have shot Canelo at middleweight, especially after the Lemieux fight. He looked razor sharp, slick, skillful, hand speed, foot. He was the best fighter in Britain at the stage and one of the best fighters in the world. Now, I think Canelo has went up 2 levels from that period. Canelo's he's really good defensively now, where it was all offensive. Now he's kind of moving his head really well and putting his shot. He's just, Canelo's on a different level at the moment.
Yeah. Callum Johnson, is it a good move signing with Bricktop?
Brilliant move. I think you look at Frank's relationship with the WBO over the years. He's a good relationship with the WBO. That title now is vacant. I think they'll try and get him in to fight Joe Smith Jr. as quick as possible for the vacant belt. That would be a firecracker. Joe Smith Jr. is a brilliant fighter. He's really, really exciting. He's never in a dull fight. I think Callum Johnson would be a war. I think it's a great move for Callum, and I think Frank Frank needs these fighters now. Frank needs to build the stable up.
Yeah.
And I think Frank will do his best to get him this world title fight right away. He's 36. He can't have 2 years of knockovers or build up. I think he needs a tune-up fight. Then they'll push for the Joe Smith Jr. fight.
Yeah. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. It looks further away than it's ever been now, doesn't it?
I'm sick of hearing about it. They were saying in the summer it was made. It was all over the news. It was made last week. It was made last week. They were don't say this, don't say that. Can't say it's not. Do you honestly think Al Heyman is one of the most powerful guys in boxing? Do you think Al Heyman's going to let them pinch millions of pounds, millions of dollars out of his pocket to let this fight go ahead? No, it's not. There's going to be a litigation case. If you can't fight Carlos Takam in December in a 10-rounder,
Caballel it was, wasn't it?
Well, it was in between Takan and Caballel.
Yeah, it was.
So if you can't fight one of them guys for a 10-rounder, how are you going to fight Tyson Fury for multi millions of pounds?
You mean how you're going to fight Anthony Joshua? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
How is he going to fight Anthony Joshua? Al Heyman's not going to let that go. There's no way, no chance.
Who called it in March?
You said it.
I said
you said it.
March.
I didn't listen to you in March, so I don't know.
Ah,
but I'll listen to you now.
Thing is, you see, right? I look at it like this: boxing's like playing odds at a casino. That's in my opinion. And you've got all these characters all in the pot, and history tells you that when they have fights and contracts, too many cooks spoil the broth, and there are too many people around it trying to get a slice of cake. And them Americans are not just going to let Tyson Fury go over there, punch their champion upside down and leave with belt without them getting something out of another fight. It don't work like that, boxing. It's never worked like that. But what we've now got overkill. We've got Tyson Fury jumping in at sea, fat as a pig Michelin man. And you've got Eddie Hearn spinning narratives constantly every day. Adam Smith and... It was 95% done last week, wasn't it? Tyson Fury said a 2-fight deal was signed and sealed in June. We're March on Monday. It's March next week. And what we got? We've got nothing. Tyson's out at ring over a year now. He ain't even got a date. And I called it because I look at these people for what they are. None of them tell the truth. They're just going to sift through all the bullshit. That's how I look at it, mate.
You look at Deontay Wilder's team last year, his legal team. Look how many advisors, this and that and this. As you say, everyone's getting a percentage. So, PBC aren't going to let DAZN or Sky pinch any money off them. And, if that third fight has been signed and that's the agreement, well, you can't break millions of dollars of pounds of contract. It's not going to happen. I see this going on until next year. I don't even see the fight happening until till Fury fights Wilder again.
Well, you might be right.
I can't see it happening.
You might be right, but is Tyson Fury going to want to risk a fight with Wilder again? Because he can put your lights out.
Well, I don't listen to all the nonsense that some of the other guys are saying that Wilder's done, Wilder's this, Wilder's that. Well, Wilder knocked out Dominic Breazeale in a round 2 years ago, and Otto Wallen went life and death to him at the weekend over points. That's how dangerous Deontay Wilder is. Yeah. So if Deontay Wilder fights anyone, he's got a chance. He's got that puncher's chance. And the way Tyson Fury looks, I worry about the longer this is, the more harder it is on Fury's body. He's putting on a load of weight. He's not in camp. He's doing his runs. He's doing his training. But it's hard. So he says. It's hard to keep really motivated, just keeping fit when there's nothing on the horizon. Yeah. So I think the longer this goes on, the more it favors Joshua. Joshua's training twice. They're putting clips every day of Joshua targeting the body and body shots and pad work and all. And I know he's not technically as good as Fury, but he's training like an absolute monster at the minute because he wants this fight. that's my worry for Fury. The longer this goes on, the more chance he's gonna get beat because of inactivity.
I don't think they want to fight Fury, to be honest. I think they know that there's legal implications, but they're going to scream that they do want to fight him. And then when everybody's saying, "Oh, we've had enough, you're messing us about," they can say Fury's got legal issues. But we've all known about this for 12 months.
Yeah,
and Eddie don't know about it.
Well, if you go back 2 years ago, Russ, they said it was a 3-fight deal. They said 2 years ago that this was a 3-fight deal. So it's nothing new that there's going to be a third fight. There has to be a third fight. And if there's not a third fight, who's going to pay out? Who's going to pay the step aside money? Because that's not going to be a couple of million. That's going to be massive money. Who's going to pay that out?
Yeah, I agree. Let's finish off with John Ryder. John Ryder, does he get his rematch with Callum Smith? Yes or no?
No, because Callum Smith is going to go up to light heavyweight.
Yeah.
He needs to go up to light heavyweight. He looked drained in that fight against Canelo. And he took the fight, he took the money. He went where the money was, and that's his job. He took that payday. He got the Canelo experience. He fought. He had that bad injury. He was brave to just get through that fight, knowing that he wasn't going to win. Did he have the injury even get into the fight? Probably. They were saying and all on camp, "Oh, he's eating ice cream and he's eating this." And, you just need to look at Callum. He's a massive super middleweight. And I think they'd be crazy to have... I think most of the top 10 guys at the minute would beat Callum at super middleweight because he's so drained, not ability wise. I think light heavyweight, he goes up to light heavyweight, and he's a different type of animal up there. I think he's going to bring that power, that speed he had in his earlier career.
I do.
But John Ryder is a middleweight, super middleweight. He's not big enough to go up. He doesn't have that frame to go up to light heavyweight and be effective.
All right, then one last thing. The tweets that have been put out, obviously I'm not on Twitter, but I get people send me screenshots all the time. Those tweets that Tony Bellew, Steffi Bull, and all other individuals were putting out in the middle of that show the other night, auditioning to get their tweets on TV, it looked like to me. These are real grown men, ex-boxers. Do you feel that the rimming, we're talking rimming on a massive scale here, it needs investigating by police, this for rimming. There should be a law against men, grown men, rimming other grown men. It's got to go down as, I'm not saying it's a sex case offence, but it's bordering on criminality. The rimming is out of control. Do you feel that these real men have now lost the plot and they've got there's no turning back for these people? What do you think about the rimming?
To tell you the truth, Russ, I actually like Bellew as a boxer, and I know you don't like him, but I found him entertaining as a boxer, as a pro boxer.
Yeah.
He was in some good fights. Makabu fight was brilliant. I remember he fought for a Commonwealth title against Bob Ajisev.
Yeah,
that was a brilliant fight. That was a super fight. I thought he done well against Cleverly. I actually seen him in Belfast boxing and a Frank Warren show, and he fought Matthew Ellis at heavyweight, and I liked him. I genuinely liked him. But see, to be honest, as his career went on, and this, I didn't like the whole build up to the Hay fight. That was really annoying. And as he's retired now, I find I actually don't like him. I can't tolerate it. I just, he's an opinion on everything and everybody. He's got a right to do that. But I'm sick of all this tweeting and this and cheerleading and all. You know, if they all feel that keeps them in their job, well, that's okay. But I find that it's going to turn people off. You know, the very fact that he hasn't been on the last couple of shows, you know, maybe Sky are saying this, you know, they had Natasha Jonas on at the weekend and she was absolutely brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
she was a breath of fresh. She's a single mum.
Yeah.
She's a full-time fighter.
She's best pundit I've seen out of all of them, even the men, for a good 2 years.
She's an ex-Olympian. She's helped the female sport. Sky should be throwing a fortune at this girl to be the figurehead of their channel, and she deserves it because of what she's given the sport.
Yeah.
And I think what you said there, the way she talks, how she puts her message across, she's really impartial. She's a Joe Gallagher fighter. I think she's brilliant. I think she should be on Sky more. And I think Sky, Russ, are seeing this. I think Sky, you know, obviously the Usyk fight, I was like, turn that down. I don't want to listen to him shouting and bawling. He's meant to be impartial. He's being paid. I paid my money for him to give me an honest opinion, and he's shouting and screaming.
I can't stomach Bellew. I can't stomach him.
I don't like him.
The last straw for me was the Chisora fight, cheerleading.
Look, Russ, I'm a Chisora fan, right? I like Bill Boy, but I didn't give him more than 4 rounds in that fight.
I gave him 3 rounds. 3 rounds.
I gave him 3 rounds, and I thought his technique was bad. His balance was bad.
Shot fighter.
I worry about him. I worry about where he goes next. I worry about him getting flogged to death because he's a brave guy and he's getting good money. And I just don't want him going in and getting smashed to bits by somebody and having repercussions down the line. But as far as you're talking about Bellew, I think Sky are looking and saying, like, the amount of complaints they're getting about that cheerleading incident at ringside, it's not impartial, it's not professional. You know, I remember the Sky commentary, Russ, back in the day, had Ian Dark, and Ian Dark could see anything. He could notice people getting hurt. He made it exciting, where now they don't pick up on any of that. They've got this impartial, they're not objective. They're reading off a script. And I think people are complaining. And I think that's why they're bringing in new faces like Natasha Jonas.
Yeah.
But all this cheerleading, all these tweets and all, and you know, I think if I'm sick of it and you're sick of it, what is everybody else saying?
Well, if anybody's got a problem with anything they don't like on the Sky Sports channel, mainly for boxing, it's simple. The complaint email is viewer, that's all lowercase in VIEWER, and then capital R at sky.uk. If you've got a problem, email them, tell them what you think, because they are looked at, these emails. So complaints at Sky complaint email address, and they'll look at it because they're serving us up utter pish. That's what it is.
Because at the minute, their product is under threat with the zone.
Oh, it's massive. And then you heard it's playing one off the other.
I don't get that. That's like one of your employees, Russell. That's like somebody who works for you going and working for a rival and thinking I don't understand that. I don't know how they've let that happen, but I think Sky need to really look at their product and they need to look at their delivery, because people are going to turn off. I want objective commentary. I want somebody telling me the truth rather than reading off a script.
Rather than going on about, and on Monday, what a packed lineup we've got on Monday. We've got netball, man. Exciting times ahead. Precocious, talented netball player.
Yeah. Could you picture Jim Watt reading that out?
What? Netball? After we're going to watch netball, Matt, after we've been looking at Josh Warrington's stamp collection. Hey?
The one at the weekend that got me was PBK, Just Kelly in the white boots, the pretty boy.
Yeah.
That was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
He didn't look so pretty afterwards, did he? Poor kid.
He was really graceful in defeat. So was Adam Booth, their respectful team. But
yeah, they were, yeah.
I felt sorry for them. I actually tipped you Avanesian. I fancied Avanesian to beat him. But I feel sorry for him now because I hope he's not going to be through on the scrap heap and left to the side because he lost.
Well, Adam Booth, right, he's in a no-win situation here. He didn't want to sit his fighters, parking them up to 25-0 fighting stiffs. They rolled the dice, they come unstuck. Adam Booth has to be given a little bit of credit here. Right? Because if he'd have won, they'd have said he was a genius. And there's a fine line, isn't there, between success and not having success.
Yeah.
Failure.
Yeah. It's kind of that forcing that product. They're looking at big pay-per-view. They were looking at massive pay-per-view against Conor Benn. And now they need to find another pay-per-view partner for Conor Benn. I think it'll be either Kell Brook or Amir Khan after this next fight. Yeah. I think that's what they're pushing for pay-per-view for Conor Benn. That they need him on. They need him on pay-per-view because outside of Joshua, who's the pay-per-view fighters that Sky have got?
They didn't want. That's why they brought Conor Benn into the studio to get him out there.
Yeah, that's why.
He don't do that many interviews. But Conor Benn, he's not fought for a British title. He's a disaster waiting to happen. No,
he hasn't. He's fought for one of those WBA Global or International or Intercontinental or, even Eubanks Jr. fought for a British title.
Yeah.
Conor Benn hasn't fought for a domestic title. So I feel that now once these guys go up a level, they haven't had the British schooling. They haven't fought, the African type fighters from the Commonwealth. They haven't fought the European style. And they're going up in the world level and they're fighting probably a guy who's got all these styles and they don't know how to deal with it. And it's like, what's going on? Then they look at the record and they're thinking, oh, I should have fought this, I should have fought that, and their careers are over.
Yeah. All right then. Well, listen, thank you very much for coming on. You're very well. You are definitely in the Andy Patterson League for hardcore.
Who's Andy Patterson?
Andy P is on Boxing Asylum, the Scotsman who drinks whiskey.
Yeah, I listened to their. I didn't know about all this, the channels, and I listened to their stuff the other day, and I listened to them talking about the Jamie Moore, Michael Jones trilogy. I remember watching all those fights on Friday fight nights on Sky back in the day, and the guys do a great job. They're being objective. They're like yourself. The channel's being objective, and I like all the guests. I like Mickey Theo. I like Mickey. I think he tries his best. He's a good guy. Mickey, keep it up.
Mickey's not hardcore boxing, though, is he?
He's not one bit, but he's entertaining. He's good. He's a good character. I watched a bit of one of his other interviews on somewhere else last night, and he's a good guy. But all the guys that come on are brilliant, and I've got an education from this and everybody. I like Big Terry. Terry's brilliant. I listen to Terry's podcast a couple of times a week. Rico's brilliant. Rico's absolutely brilliant as well. So just hopefully the channel keeps growing, and I've got a load of my mates listening to you now from Belfast. So hopefully they get a hardcore Porky badge.
All right then. Well, listen, nice to speak to you, Ken. You take care, and we'll speak again soon.
Top man, mate.
All right, mate.
See you later.
Take care. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Take care.